Hi, and welcome to Real Time. My name is Lauren Glass, and with me today is Coppelin, the Interpretive Programs Manager from the Brookfield Zoo. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, and thanks for having me.
No problem. So today we're going to be talking about the Dinosaurs Alive exhibit, which is on April 6th. And so can you tell me what the Dinosaur Alive exhibit is about?
Well, we're very happy to bring back Dinosaurs Alive in 2013. We had it in 2009, and in 2013 we're bringing back animatronic dinosaurs to help our guests connect with these amazing creatures from the past, and also to help them understand how things the dinosaurs dealt with in their lifetime might affect people today.
Awesome. So what are the top favorite dinosaurs most people love to see?
Well, some of the favorites that we have to have in the exhibit would obviously be T-Rex. We can't have the exhibit without a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but we're also going to have some of the favorites such as Stegosaurus, Triceratops, Parasaurolophus, the one with the big horn on its head that makes the noise, and then also Pachycephalosaurus, the one with the kind of domed head that kind of do the head butting over territory. So we're definitely going to have some of those favorites that people always see when they go to museums and read books, but we're going to have some new ones as well so that the experience is a bit different from our previous one.
So what is different about this exhibit than the one in 2009?
Well, the one in 2009, we had a bit of fun with it, and we kind of pretended that the dinosaurs had come to Brookfield Zoo and they were living members of, or living residents of the zoo. Well, this year we're actually going to take a different twist on things, and we're going to report things such as big things you would see in dinosaur news. So we're going to focus a bit on feathered dinosaurs. What is that transition between those big lizard-like creatures and the modern day birds we have today? We're going to take a look at some of the feathered dinosaurs that some scientists think are that link between the dinosaurs and our modern day birds.
Awesome. So what is your favorite dinosaur at the exhibit?
Well, I'd have to say one of my new favorites is going to be Gigantoraptor. Gigantoraptor is a large feathered dinosaur that a lot of people may not be familiar with, and when they come to the exhibit, they're going to learn a lot about Gigantoraptor swag. I mean, this animal had to put it on very thick because the ladies only wanted to go for the male Gigantoraptors that had the best display. So you got to come on out and see what kind of John Travolta moves Gigantoraptor had to pull out to get a mate.
So what kind of, how many dinosaurs do you keep from the last exhibit?
Well, from the last exhibit, we're probably going to have a good 7 or 8 dinosaurs that we had in the last one. And then we're going to have quite a few new ones. We're going to have about 24 animatronic dinosaurs. And like I said, a little less than half of those will be things that people saw last time. So anybody that came in 2009 can definitely come now and see a lot of new dinosaurs. But like I said, the favorites that they want to see will definitely be there as well.
So what kind of different things can you learn about while going through the exhibit?
Well, this time we're going to take a look at some of the theories as to why animals started to have feathers. What is that link between specific dinosaurs and birds of today? A lot of people, for example, think ornithosaurs, things like your velociraptor, this type of thing, are more closely related to birds than they actually are. So as people come in, we're going to take a look at some of these theories, but then we're also going to take a look at theories as to what happened to the dinosaurs, how climate may have affected them. We'll even look at cool things such as some dinosaurs that may not have known they were laying eggs while they were walking.
So what dinosaurs do you, how long do you keep the dinosaurs in the exhibit?
Well, the exhibit is going to open up in April 6th, like you said, and we'll have it through October 27th. So that way people can come back during our Halloween celebration and actually see the dinosaurs at night, which is a new experience all in itself. So that way it gives people the opportunity to come early in the summer during the day, enjoy the dinosaur exhibit, but then come back for a bit of Halloween fun and see the exhibit at night as well.
Do you get a lot of kids coming on field trips all the time for the exhibit?
Yes, we do. We do have a lot of field trips that come through in the early to late spring, and then we also have day camp groups that come through in addition to our own zoo camp. So there will be even a greater educational component to this one than previously. We are going to have a tent that's going to be about 5,000 square feet, and in that tent we're going to interpret things much the same way you would see in a museum, so that people will come in, be able to see dinosaur fossils, they'll be able to see these elaborate feathered dinosaurs and learn much of the information they might learn if going to a museum. So school children will be able to come in, teachers will be able to bring school groups in and get some information to help support their classroom work.
Is it a long process having to, you know, set it all up and everything?
Yes, it is. We generally start planning the process. For example, we started thinking about it in July of 2012. Then in August, we started to really solidify plans as far as, you know, who we were going to talk to work with getting animatronic dinosaurs, what direction we were going to take with the storyline, choosing which dinosaurs were going to be in the exhibit. And to this point, we haven't even started getting dinosaurs at the zoo yet. So it is a long process that can take about 9-10 months or so to get everything up and running.
Is the dinosaur exhibit one of your biggest and most successful exhibits during the year?
Yes, it is. It's one of our biggest temporary exhibits. So far, we've tried Stingray Bay, we've tried Dinosaurs Alive, and we tried Extreme Bugs this year in 2012. And so far, the one that seems to have connected with people the most and brought more people in and had a wide variety of reach has been the dinosaurs. And you can imagine there are a lot of people out there that are scared of bugs.
Yeah.
Very few people are scared of dinosaurs. So
right.
Again, it's a win-win situation. People can come in, learn a lot, have a lot of fun.
What is your favorite exhibit throughout the year?
My favorite exhibit throughout the year, I would have to say, is Great Bear Wilderness right now.
With the bears and everything? With
the bears and a lot of the conservation information we have there. And it's a really nice exhibit that allows people to come in and learn some cool things they can do to help animals that they really like.
So what do you like most about the dinosaur exhibit as a whole?
The thing that I like most about the dinosaur exhibit as a whole is that it has something for everybody. It has something for children. They get a chance to come and see these creatures that they only read about in books and see them almost to scale size. So they can actually look up at a T-Rex and
right.
more than just bones. I like the fact that the animals move. So even though they're not walking through space, it does give you a bit more interactive with these animals as opposed to just seeing them stand still. But then I like the way that our storyline is going to come out, because some of the storyline is going to be directed to young children, some to young adults, and then some to older adults. So everybody coming through there will have something for them that they can engage in, and I'm quite sure that everybody coming through there will learn something new.
Do you have fossils in the dinosaur exhibit?
We will have fossils so that people can see things such as like a raptor talon, what that looked like. We'll be able to see some dinosaur skeletons, some skeletons from the early feathered dinosaurs, these types of things, so that people can start to understand what life was like back in ages like the Mesozoic period.
Okay, so now we're going to switch off to a little different other topics. So can you tell me about the Society's Youth Volunteer Corporation?
We have a very good program called the Youth Volunteer Corps. Now, the Youth Volunteer Corps is a program that targets children, who I should say young adults actually, in grades 9 to 12, and so from 14 to 17. Now, we have different tracks that these people can participate in. They come in, they generally will be at the zoo when school ends, so usually sometime between June and August, and there are different tracks they can take. They can follow an interpretive track, which again would have these young people going through interpretive training, then making their way out into the zoo and actually helping to connect our guests with our conservation initiatives as well as animals at the zoo. But then you also have science track, people who will be going out and doing either unguided or guided inquiries, such as how are animals utilizing the exhibit space that they're in, and involving the public in these inquiries. So you have some great opportunities for youth to come to the zoo, act in a volunteer capacity, but what this also does is it builds skill sets. The young woman who coordinates this, Deb Kutska, has done a great job of making sure that as these people come through the program and then leave the program, they are equipped to communicate very well when they're going out for job interviews, when they want to apply for college, but they also have specific skill sets that give them exposure to things such as interpretation and science that helps them focus what their career goals are and sometimes leads them down to a specific career path. It has turned into such a great program that Deb has actually had youth volunteers win awards and be able to go up to Churchill and work through a program, Polar Bears International, and see polar bears up close firsthand. So it's a great program. I urge everybody interested to check out.
So how many volunteers do you get each year?
Well, on a yearly basis, we can have up to 140 youth volunteers at the zoo. And like I said, doing different things between science track, interpretive track, and even some other areas. Sometimes they will actually pair up with our work paid staff, such as our paid seasonal interpreters, roving naturalists. And they will do things together, roving naturalists acting as mentors to help them understand some of the skill sets they would need to attain such a position. And we have actually had youth volunteers work up through our career ladder, become assistant roving naturalists, then come back to become roving naturalists. So it's a great program that could actually lead to a job opportunity down the line at the zoo.
Okay, well right now we're going to take a break and stay tuned for these messages. Hi, and welcome back to Real Time. With me still is Andre Coppelin, the Interpretive Programs Manager from the Brookfield Zoo, and we are still continuing to talk about volunteer corporation job opportunities. But before we continue with that, can you just tell me a little bit more about the Great Bear Wilderness program?
Well, the Great Bear Wilderness is an exhibit that opened up in 2010, and that exhibit really showcases how nature can be the salvation of the world. So for example, the exhibit focuses on the efforts of the American Prairie Foundation and how they are actually employing the help of bison just free-ranging on the prairie to help revitalize the prairie in Montana. And so to help people understand just how bison can be instrumental in culture, we started to talk to people about, for example, how when building the railroad coming from the eastern part of the United States to the west, there were certain areas in the United States where the railroad company didn't know how to cross certain things such as the Cumberland Gap. The way they found to lay railroad tracks was to follow the migration trails of bison. So bison actually paved the way for many railroads that we have today. Now we also want people to understand the plight of the grizzly bear. We have a lot of conservation programs going on with grizzly bears, and we have protected areas such as Yellowstone Park here in the United States and Banff National Park in Canada. But what a lot of people didn't realize is that these bears need to have a corridor, nice pristine natural corridor, so they could travel all the way from one big area like Banff down to Yellowstone if they want to. And some of the efforts of a corporation that we're working with, Vital Ground, is dedicated to make sure that bears have these natural corridors without shopping centers and roads in the place, so that these animals can get safely from one area to another, so they can continue to thrive, continue to propagate as far as their species without having any type of negative conflicts with people. So it's a really cool exhibit to come to, because then you can also take a look at polar bears, talks about how global climate change can affect polar bears, but then also affect people. And then it also focuses on one of our conservation success symbols, such as the bald eagle, showing how when the bald eagle was in trouble, as people started to think about what that animal symbolized to them, no matter what walk of life they were from, they came together through legislation, through conservation initiatives, just through spreading the good word, and all worked together as a nation to bring that animal back from the brink of extinction and to the point where we were able to take it off the endangered species list. So it's a really good exhibit that celebrates some of the successes we've had, shows some of the things that we can accomplish as we work together. And the beauty of that exhibit is it's one of the places that our youth volunteer Corps tend to interpret on a yearly basis. Every year we tend to have them over at Great Bear Wilderness, and as I mentioned before, talking about scientific inquiry, they had engaged the public a couple of years ago in an inquiry about how polar bears like to use their home at Brookfield Zoo. So it's a really cool program that involves these state-of-the-art habitats that the animals live in to help connect people with these beautiful messages.
Do you keep it year-round?
Oh yes, Great Barrier Wilderness is there year-round. Right now it's probably the largest exhibit that we have at the zoo and the newest exhibit that we have there. So that's why if people haven't seen it yet, we urge people to come on out, take a look. If they've been to Great Barrier Wilderness before, then what I would urge people to do is come out and engage with one of our youth volunteers, adult volunteers, or other interpreters there, because by engaging with these people, you're definitely going to learn something new.
Right.
But we also have zoo chats conducted by the people that care directly for the animals, who can give information that we may never even know, specific information about those individuals. So I would say come on down, see dinosaurs, see Great Barrier Wilderness, but by all means find somebody that works at the zoo and talk to them. You'd be surprised at the connections you'll make with that person, the environment, and some of the cool things you'll learn.
Okay, is Stingray Bay coming back at all?
Yes, we are looking at bringing Stingray Bay back because it is something that people really enjoy. And so our plan is to try to bring Stingray Bay back in addition to dinosaurs in 2013, which would allow people to come in and have that direct experience with these animals that they otherwise would have to travel to the East Coast and visit the ocean to see. So Stingray Bay will hopefully be back, and if so, is generally an area that we have our roving naturalists and sometimes our youth volunteers are interpreting there as well. But one temporary exhibit that does come back, and we shouldn't call it temporary, it's really a seasonal exhibit, is our butterflies exhibit. Our butterflies exhibit will definitely be back. It is a favorite exhibit. People tend to come year after year to see it because it's a place where you can come, you can sit in quiet reflection, you can see beautiful animals.
And they just fly around?
They just fly around, and if you sit there calm, sometimes they'll land on you. So it's one of those situations where you don't have to try to touch an animal. As long as you're peaceful like the environment, the animal will actually come to you. So it's a very, very nice experience, very good way to get some beautiful color in your life. But then also we have interpreters there that can give you great information, connect you with these animals in ways you may never have thought possible.
Okay, so can you tell me about the job opportunities at the zoo during the summertime?
Well, a lot of people, when they think about zoo, they only think about animal care. And that is the primary focus of the zoo, is caring for the animals that live there and as ambassadors for the animals that live in the wild so we can make things better for them. But we have a lot of job opportunities that range from seasonal jobs in our grounds crew, if you like horticulture and you want to spend your time outside dealing with plants. But then we have jobs that deal with hospitality and guest services, such as people that are welcoming people in as they hand in their tickets and enter the zoo. We have people that, you know, are dealing with hospitality in our restaurants, and when people are hungry, needing to come and grab something to eat. So we have those type of positions open. But then as people start to go through school and through college, there are obviously animal care positions, but then there are positions in finance, there are positions in government affairs at the zoo. We even have our own police department, so people can find a career in law enforcement at the zoo, and there are seasonal part-time positions that help guide people to a career in law enforcement, such as, you know, our PSO, our Park Security Officer programs. So there are a lot of positions at the zoo people might not think about. So we urge people to go to our website, czs.org, and take a look at the job opportunities, because there's probably a job out there for everybody right here at Brookfield Zoo working for the Chicago Zoological Society.
Wow, so what kind of people do those usually look for when applying?
Well, generally, as a whole, they want positive, energetic people that obviously have some type of commitment for the environment. But again, we really can't say without looking at that specific job requirement. Every job at the zoo has a job description with specific requirements, and so that's why I would urge people to take a look at that, and that's going to let you know the specific qualifications that you would need, but then we'll also let a person know if that position is the right one for them.
So how long do people volunteer for at the zoo?
Well, it depends. For example, we've had some adult volunteers that have been at the zoo for over 35 years.
Oh, wow.
They've volunteered 35, 40 years. We've seen some people come through our youth volunteer corps and that have gone, you know, from its start, you know, from 9th grade, and have continued all the way up through college, have gone on to attain, you know, a seasonal position as a community program assistant, therefore mentoring more people people coming through the Youth Volunteer Corps. And as I said, we've had people come on to become roving naturalists. So again, even after some of those volunteer positions or volunteer opportunities start to end, after a person starts to outgrow them, they find themselves actually working in the zoo in different areas. We've even had some people that were involved in that program that have gone on to become seasonal camp counselors, because we do have a zoo camp that deals with camp, kids for different ages, and so we need camp counselors, so people that are interested in education, this type of thing, can also apply and start to get that type of experience at the zoo as well.
What sort of people or organizations subscribe at the zoo?
Well, we do have a lot of conservation partners, and right now the conservation partners to note would be Polar Bears International. We are all working together to make sure that people understand the effects of global climate change and some of the things that you can do to actually help mitigate the effects in your area. But then we also work closely with Vital Ground, as I said before, and that's a program based out of Montana which is dedicated to making sure that grizzly bears have biological corridors so they can transfer between one area to another without having any type of conflict with people or any type of things, machinery such as cars. So these are some of the bigger programs that we work with, but then we also work with Kate Evans' program. She's a biologist and conservationist that works in Africa with elephants out of Africa. And so we are connected with that program, helping to make sure we can maintain populations of elephants in the wild so that for generations to come, elephants can thrive in areas that are protected and even non-protected in Africa. So there are many different conservation organizations that we may work with, because the important thing for people to know is to make the wilderness a better place for animals, we have to work together. It's not something that one person, one organization or entity can do alone. If we all work together and do a little bit, we can accomplish a lot.
So what inspired you to go into a career at the zoo?
I'd have to say I just always grew up with a closeness to animals, and when I was very young, my mother, she actually connected me to spiders when I was really sick in the hospital at one time, and they wouldn't let her stay, and I would cry and wouldn't want her to leave, and so one day she told me that when she was little, to pass the time when she was having problems going to sleep, she would watch a spider crawl across the ceiling, and she would think to herself, if that little teeny animal could make that much of a distance and was that dedicated, that she could be that dedicated as well. And she would ask me to do the same and not to get discouraged by being sick, and that I'd be able to make it. So I always had a love for spiders, and it just translated into a love for all animals and nature.
Wow, so can you please describe some of the benefits and experiences in your career working with the Brookfield Zoo?
Definitely so. Some of the benefits that I have seen is I have actually seen we have now got a tighter connection with the communities of Brookfield and Riverside. We are all starting to work together to make sure that not just the zoo, but the communities actually carry these messages about conservation, that people know that both of these communities are dedicated to conservation, and it's not something that's just the zoo. And that's one of the really, really cool things that I've seen happen so far. But I've also seen people like youth volunteers come through the program, grow, and gone on to be conservation leaders. So these are some really good things that I've seen. And again, seeing things like the bald eagle come off the endangered species list. These types of things are things that celebrate, that we really get excited about, but also let us know that we are doing the right thing, that we are doing a noble thing, and that if we keep our nose to the grindstone, the good things will always happen.
All right, well, that's all the time that we have for today. I want to thank you for being on the show. My name is Lauren Glass, and I want to thank you again, Andre Coppelin, the Interpretive Programs Manager, and we will see you next time.
Thanks again for having me.
No problem.